Twitch ban coming out from EDG. Rise, Sivir, Twitch are the bans that EDG throw towards them. Vladimir has been left open as Maokai, LeBlanc, and Ash are going to be banned up by LGD.
Hello, Vladimir. It's almost like saying hello, darkness, my old friend. So I don't know why he has slipped through again. Unless LGD pick Karma right now and adjust their banning phase appropriately, but they're not.
They pick Gragas. They take Gragas away from clear love of all champions. Hecarim and Rek'Sai are left open, but they're more scared about the Ashe from Deft than the Gragas from clear love.
You know, they picked their targets. It's their decisions as to what they would like. Remember that not everything is a ban or a pick away. Some things are for you. Amy can play the Gragas.
We certainly can.
And there's all smiles, honestly, from both of these teams, surprisingly enough. I want Mako to play this into LGD. That's what we call a stamp of authority.
It's possible that he could. PYL's picked it up twice in this best-of-3 series.
Also, the Braum is actually a really good highlighted pick away from EDG. I was expecting a first rotation Ezreal, I was going to say, from LGD, given that Vladimir was a must-pick. I was going to say Ezreal Karma. It would be great, but
Those 2 games of Thresh that PYL just played are the only 2 games of Thresh he's played this season. I mean, you had a brief stint with LGD.
He's also a legacy Thresh player, to be fair. Like, this is something that every support in the LPL plays.
Whereas Braum is his most played champion by far. In fact, picking it up here, he's actually tied up with Mako for picking up the champion. He's very notorious for first picking it in an EDG as well. And Mako is actually going to be taking Thresh to the Rift here today, as Def will be locking in his Ezreal once again.
Yep, so Deft on his signature champion. Mako goes for that Thresh, and again, that staple pick for seemingly all supports at the moment in the LPL. He's making a resurgence, the Thresh.
Imp is smiling, which is not a good thing if you're an Imp fan.
There it is.
As Kog'Maw is going to be the lock-in for LGD. His first game of Kog'Maw this split.
Yeah, the smile could mean one of 2 things when you think about it. It's either a good thing because he's happy, or it's a bad thing because he's about to lock in something dangerous. This time it's both.
As Victor's going to be a pickup coming out for Punish here. So only Marin and PYL not picking in order this time round.
And you know what's great is that Scout, you would assume, is playing the Vladimir, and we're yet to see what Mouse is picking, and Aurelia is still up. He's against a Kog'Maw, and so that could be the option they choose. Depends how tanky they want to go and if they want guaranteed lockdown. But I think EDG's response should be something a little bit more stock standard. I'm personally an advocate of the Nautilus top lane. If he's against a Kog'Maw, guarantee his crowd control and knock up. Oh yeah.
You just throw a Skarner in there as well, if you're going to hover those 2 champions. But we'll have to see what EDG decide to pick up as their final 2 picks. We're still waiting for the top lane pick coming out from PYL. Could potentially still be a jungler if they decide to throw Gragas on towards Marin at the top side of the map.
I think this is more appropriate than the former hover they had. Of course, 2 strategies being thought about.
They go for it.
Yeah, they opt towards the tanky, actual complementary crowd control option. In that jungle, he can also control vision well.
So Rek'Sai being picked up here as the jungler of choice, as well as the Rumble, which will be given up, most likely given to Mouse on the top side of the map. He had a very good game on it, game number 1, despite the loss for EDG. His Pantheon was being hovered there by LGD. Shout out to Pawn.
Well, it's Marin's chance to counterpick here. He knows who he is against, and he knows that the Gnar worked well into the Rumble if he chooses this matchup again. Of course, you know what? Throw in a Cassiopeia or a Malzahar if you really want to.
Pantheon.
Look, let's not. It's there, right? It's an option. There's a lot of options in Champion Select. Pantheon's at the bottom of my list.
Well, they don't lock in the Pantheon here today, so they do go for the Gnar pick for the 3rd time in a row. Marin really likes this champion. He's performed pretty well in it, especially game 1. He got a phenomenal Gnar ultimate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was this matchup that set them up for it. LGD, you would imagine, want to endeavor for standard lanes if the goal is to set Marin up. But because Imp's got the Kog'Maw, their game plan might have entirely changed once again. And this could be a different LGD brand. going up against Edward Gaming, who are very much a stock standard objective control-based team composition. They've got the Vladimir Rumble combo. They've got Deft on his Ezreal. They're set up well.
EDG look very comfortable. I'm very happy that the LGD have swapped things around. It's the big criticism we gave to them coming into game number 3. Hopefully the swap that they've made is an impactful one as we head on to Summer's Rift.
We know that LGD are a team of very capable star players, but their strategies felt lacking.
Well, let's see what they can do as we head on to Summoner's Rift for the final time tonight. It seems like we're having a few technical difficulties here before we head into Summoner's Rift for the final game of tonight. Hopefully we'll be able to get those resolved as soon as we possibly can. But, like we said, you know, EDG with a team composition that they've set up for success, it seems, coming into game number 3. LGD on the flip side, they're very similar traits to what they've been running this entire best-of-3 series, but they've made some interesting changes that could potentially change things up quite drastically.
Yeah, they've gone towards the Cogmore. It's the first thing that we have to look at. Imp's picking up the hyper carry in the AD carry position. Not standard to what the meta provides. There's not going to be the utility there. There's no slows really besides his ooze, and we wouldn't count that because it's all about self-sustain. And that means that LGD, something that worked for them once this series already, surprisingly, are playing a strategy that revolves around making sure that Imp is going.
Well, hopefully we will be able to see Imp going. And another thing that we have to watch out for LGD is how Marin's going to be doing up in the top lane, because game number 1, he got a lot of attention to get really far ahead in terms of his laning phase. Actually lost a couple of kills to start things off, but still came back strong mid-game, had a few fantastic and key Gnar ultimates to win that match. Game 2 was shut down heavily by Clearlove, but we have solved those technical difficulties and we're back onto Summoner's Rift for game number 3 between EDG and LGD.
Something I didn't think we would be saying, Fish, coming into a third game, is that there is a third game between LGD and EDG. Definite favourites, EDG. LGD, they do sometimes bite as big as they bark.
Yep. EDG, they've dropped 5 games throughout the entire summer split, not losing a single series, and one of those 5 was the last match against EDG.
Very standard Keystone Masters as well to be seen. Scout going Strength of the Ages as opposed to the Storm Raiders Surge is the only real variable there, and Imp going further of battle because he wants that early damage. Makes sense when you can buff yourself up with attack speed as this AD carry. But it is very much a stand and deliver champion, which is why PYL playing Braum is so crucial to their team's success.
Really interested to see how this one works out as LGD stacking up members towards the mid lane. And Ward is not going to spot out Gragas. Amy gets away safely, so to speak.
Yeah, so EDG are starting inside the jungle of LGD. It's noted they just saw Mouse walking through a ward. This is an aggressive start once again.
So lane swap does come out from EDG, like you said, starting in the jungle.
And they get a big head start by starting in this jungle. It's a bit awkward with lane assignments. In fact, you would imagine they were potentially trying to find LGD. But they start red, and the question is where he goes from here, because ideally, this start felt so forced by EDG. And so unless they are 4-man pushing the turret, things could get a little bit... Ooh. He may need to teleport. His recall gets cancelled again. He's in trouble.
Gotta get away from this somehow.
He needs to teleport.
It's been cancelled. He's still trying to recall, but it's not working. He's just sitting dark right now. There's the flame. Mako, he missed it, but Marin cancels the teleport. Mako is still going to go down a 1-for-1 trade. Misplays across both teams.
That was really unfortunate. I'm assuming the only reason Mako did that is he was threatening to have the hook, but had already started play for the jungle camp. And the end result of that is that EDG, they do kill Marin. They do get a slight edge as mid lane's pushing.
Punish actually getting jumped on, doesn't get taken down.
But in a situation where lane swaps come out and top laners usually get no resources, Myron's not too bad off for this.
Yep.
Except for the teleport being used.
Not bad. Is able to pick up 300 gold to start the game off. A little bit less than what he would get in a turret trade, but he will still get the global gold and will still get to the top lane in time. So good start for LGD.
Actually, just generally slow lane swaps to be seen from both of them. And that's because of what happened at level 1, getting too cute, trying to make plays. EDG will still beat them with tempo. They'll still set themselves up well enough. From here, though, there's a real question mark on what their movements are going to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see what they can do. As the turret will fall on the bottom side of the map for EDG. Mouse picks up the goal for that one. LGD a little bit slower in taking down the top lane out of turret, with Murren having to go back to base fairly early. Punish already burnt his flash in this mid lane after a gank did come out from Clearlove.
And EDG once again using that advantage to try and look towards a Drake, but it's not going to work like that.
Here's Amy. This time a little bit more proactive, managed to get down there and stops EDG from taking down the Ocean Dragon. So LGD is starting this game pretty strong.
Yeah, that's right. They've made a couple of early game adjustments. It feels like their strategy has been shored up a little bit. It's not going to be enough to get them across the line by any means, but EDG don't get any free advantages. One mistake seems to set Myron up confidently. He does feel like an emotional player, Myron. When people dive him, he just seems to continue to overextend. Imp has the same pitfalls. But when he gets the kills in trades, he continues with that confident style. And Myron's works when he's confident.
Momentum-based player for LGD. Both Imp and him play the same way. Punish, in the meanwhile, he's a very calm and collected player from what we've seen for LGD. I think I've seen that a few too many times today. That's a flash forward from PYL looking for the stun towards Mouse. Exhausters go down, but Imp's just not in range for it.
Actually dreaming.
Still burn the summoner. Get the flash.
There was 3 summoners for a flash, Fish.
Still get the flash.
That's what we call awkward.
Still gets the flash.
Yes.
As EDG are going to continue their lane swap by sending their AD carry and support up towards the top side of the map, looking to try and take down that top lane outer turret, very similar to what we saw in game number 2. LGD doing the exact same thing with with Imp and PYL pushing down the bottom lane outer turret, with the help of Myron.
Yeah, so once again, this game's getting later and later. There's a bit of extra farm in everybody's pockets by this happening. And it's all because of what happened earlier game. So this means that once the lane swap actually ends, and the 2 turrets fall down, which will happen sooner or later, there's just going to be more gold in everybody's hands to work with. I'd say that's a good thing for LGD. They've got a Cogmore who's getting closer to the big items. Same thing goes for Ezreal, to be fair. They've got similar spikes. You can have 1 item spikes for Imp, whereas you need that tier and then an item spike for Def. So perhaps there's a window for LGD to work.
Well, let's see what Def can do with it. Or if Imp, in that matter, can do with his item. Already has.
Clearlove's threatening a dive.
And he's actually going for a scout, actually ghosting on top of this one. Punish in a lot of trouble. Doesn't have his Chaos Storm to try and lock them down, but that's a great gravity field. Clearlove will fall. Here comes Myron. He will still be able to take down Punish. Myron, unfortunately, not there in time to stop Scout, who flashes forward. It's still a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, still 1-for-1. Clearlove tanking that turret because of the Sanguine pool. Gets stunned, gets into a very awkward predicament, and LGD are still making positive moves. If every single time that EDG try and do something, they end up trading, then honestly I'll look over to the other side and say this is working out well.
Still, EDG do have a gold lead at the moment with 2 turrets taken for 1. LGD opted not to continue pushing that bottom lane outer turret. It's still left standing at the moment.
Yeah, they conceded and actually just went for the Drake throughout that. I think they could have taken it. They don't opt towards it. And it means to me that they just want to keep the lane there for a while.
Also means that standard lanes are going to finally come out 7 minutes, 30 seconds into this game. Myron and Mouse will meet up on the top side of the map. Deft and Maker will eventually face off against Imp and PYL.
Myron immediately going to be a bit weaker though. As he's been sitting around with his boots and has not recalled for a little while. That teleport actually causing part of that.
On the flip side, Mouse does have the Hextech Revolver, so if he ever gets in melee range against it now, we're able to punch in a few extra damaging auto attacks, especially once he overheats. Scout has been creepy up in terms of CS in this mid lane, has got a lot of attention from Clearlove and friends, so he's about 15 CS up ahead of Punished. But Punished, once again, he has not been the shining factor of LGD, but he's definitely been very calm and composed in this entire series.
Yeah, he's been the air of consistency throughout most of the games.
That's not just for this game. I think LGD in general, Punish is always the more consistent member of their lineup.
Yeah, well, he didn't start that way. That's the thing. He's only just now starting to become more and more consistent, be a big part for his team.
Mm-hmm.
And his role is to not die and to have a great time.
Apparently that's Marin's role.
Marin's role is not to not die. He can have a great time, though.
Exactly. His role is to die, apparently.
He actually has a party in the top lane.
And everyone's invited.
Well, I don't think anyone was invited, but they all rocked up.
Okay, Crash up at the top side of the map. Marin's actually pushing out quite heavy on the top side as True Shot Barrage comes out from Def, clips Imp, does a decent amount of damage. Marin trying to do what he can to push this wave in towards Mouse's turret.
Yeah, once again, good movements from Amy to be in the right place at the right time. If this pushes Mouse off, that's great. Even that is a great outcome.
So still gets the farm for himself, but forced to use the equalizer for it.
And he was only really there to stop Clearlove from ganking at all. So Amy's presence is to protect Marin as he breaks freezes. And again, this is good movement from Amy. But Clearlove wasn't there, and Rumble can clear, just like Gangplank can by using the ultimate.
LGD, they were not able to take down that bottom lane turret, but still they've been able to get a decent freeze deep in towards their side of the map with Imp and PYL, and Cogmore farming up is a good thing to have.
Yeah, and considering it's basically the 2v2, LGD have held there for an awful long time.
Certainly have. Poor Scout.
That's not even poor Scout. Punish just walked past him to clear minions and then ran away. Scout is in such a strong point in this middle lane that he is scaring Punish to the point where he's using his stun just to farm minions.
Here's a Vladimir. Here comes Amy, though, looking to see if he can do anything in this mid lane. Scout decides, you know what, I can fight both of you.
I worry that he can. Such is the life against the Vladimir, though. So EDG, they're looking towards PYL, it felt like.
Maker was zooming down towards the bottom lane with the extra move speed from the Rift Scuttle camp.
They're still looking aggressively. No items to be seen from Imp yet. He's pushing out without recalling, so I would say the 2v2 is weaker for LGD.
They saved the pink ward. Clearlove actually making his way towards the bottom side of the map. Hasn't been spotted out. Now going through. They have to be very careful. True Shot Barrage comes out. Chunks out PYL. A good flash play will come out from them as well. Him taking a lot of damage. Trying to go toe-to-toe against Def. But Mouse is down the bottom side of the map as well. Equalizer separates him from the team as Scout gets a cheeky transfusion to pick up the second kill for EDG as they gank the bottom lane.
Yeah, once again, a big collapse from EDG, and you'd have to call that predictable. But LGD do not respect waiting too long to get item spikes. Protobelt rushed from Mouse, gets him into a perfect position to fight as Amy's in a deep spot.
Clearlove has to be very careful. Clearlove forces Amy away.
Pushes him off. Of course, Amy being level 6 can clear waves with his ulti.
Spanish uses the Chaos Storm trying to deter Scout from being any more aggressive in this mid lane. He just uses the transfusion to heal himself back up quite nicely. EDG, once again, they've turned on the accelerator. They're now 2,000 gold ahead of LGD. They're looking like they want to try and control the rest of this game. Again, it's off of a lane swap with a couple of mistakes made by LGD in between.
Yeah, and again, Scout doing well in this middle lane. We can question all we want between Pawn and Scout, but it definitely feels like Scout is the better member for EDG as a team. And once again, the strategy has been rethought. They now just pick on Imp, pick on the tendencies of LGD. There's no teleport for Marin. It was cancelled at the same time as Mouse using his, and they just get to the crunch quicker than LGD can even think.
Certainly do. Now, with the lead they have, they're looking to try and continue doing just that. Imp, he's still trying to freeze in this bottom lane. Granted, he's gotten a nice 10 CS lead for himself. EDG have already shown as soon as he pushes away from that turret what they can do, and they're looking to try and continue with another iteration of that, which is sending Deft and Maker towards the mid lane, looking to get some damage on towards Punish Tower.
Here's the thing, and there's only so many times you can do this to Imp before it's actually not going to matter. He's scaling with his Cogmore. He's always going to be a big late game threat. And he's getting close to those items. The CS lead's helping him still get there. Victor can wave clear in this middle lane. And so as long as he gets this buff, which he does, he will continue to wave clear in this middle lane. And this could potentially be an opportunity now for LGD to sit back, relax, maybe concede small objectives here and there, but farm towards a point where you've got your big major items. You can look to fight and be a team fighting comp.
One of them apparently being that Mountain Dragon, which EDG have already started up. That should be taken out without any contest coming out from LGD. And they're sending members towards the bottom lane once again. Amy actually wrapped around behind Scout here. Marin's going to try and take down the blue buff. Now they've got a gank on towards this Vladimir. Has to use the Sanguine Pool very early. Flashes away. The cast will knock him even further backward. They do get both summoner spells from the Vlad though.
Yeah, 2 summoners is always nice to take away from the Vladimir. The blue buff still as well is always a nice to have thing, but it's Scout. He's a Vladimir, he doesn't necessarily need that buff. EDG now pressuring once again.
Looking to try and push down the mid lane. Cogmore and Brom doing what they can to try and push this one back out. Clearlove doing some counter jungling, but it gets taken away by the Victor. He wastes his time, gets a good leash for him.
Once again, playing around these lanes a lot better now, LGD. This could be an opportunity for a teleport flank. Note that they have the Mega Gnar with teleport. It's a nice ward, but I don't know if they can commit to this. EDG's strategy should actually be to wait for that to end.
Marin actually just turned Mega, so he's going to take some time so he gets it back up. Mouse was trying to teleport towards the top side of the map, gets cancelled by the Winter's Bite coming out from Brom. He's still pushing. Marin's not done yet.
Yeah, well, they're just giving Marin farm. He's not 0-5 in this game. Things are set up nicely for LGD to not be what happened in game number 2. This is still an issue. Scout's always going to be a big problem as the game progresses, but Punish is diffusing the lane as best he can. When it comes to those team fights, all eyes are going to be on Imp, and if he can survive the onslaught that EDG are going to throw at him.
It certainly will be, as Imp, he's still looking towards his Rage Blade, has all 3 components completed. That's a big power spike for Cogmore. He's heading back to base, should be able to pick that one up. His Hurricane should be the next item he looks towards. Once those 2 are completed, his team fights are drastically stronger, and he just exponentially gets stronger and stronger with every single item he picks up.
That is absolutely true, but we have to reflect that with the team composition that he's against. Cogmore has the innate disposition of having to stand still. Now, if you're trying to stand still against a Rumble, you're usually going to be on top of an Equalizer. That's not ideal. Vladimir will be running at you and can destroy you. And if the Hema play connects and then you're standing still in a Rumble ults, that's even worse. All the damage that EDG can put down from high range and from close range can be focused onto him. This is where Marin comes into play is super important. Braum needs to have the shield there as well to try and keep the Cogmore alive, and that's where this battle starts to go. It's not exactly a Juggermore. There's no Lulu to keep him empowered, but their makeshift version will have to do.
Let's see if they can make use of that as much as possible. As LGD, they've stopped the bleeding for now. They're still only 2,000 gold behind EDG.
That's a 40-second cooldown. I love watching it.
Belt has been an interesting item ever since it's been released.
People just throw it out so wildly because the cooldown is so low.
Well, we've got 2 in this game already. 1 on Mouse, 1 on Scout. The 2 AP carries for the team.
Let's hope it stays at 2.
Hey man, I've seen some Rek'Sais do strange things in the LPL. Wouldn't be too much of a shock if Clearlove does it.
Yeah, look, Blood Rage is not Proto Belt. One of them helps you do damage.
Belt throws rockets at people, Rusty. I don't know how much more damage you want to do.
Scales with ability power, man.
Doesn't matter, there's still rockets.
Rek'Sai doesn't have ability power. She can barely see.
EDG were looking like they're going to throw a couple of members towards the bottom side of the map.
There we go.
Amy made his way down towards that side. Scout actually being very aggressive here. Pops the ultimate, tries to go for the one-on-one. It gets punished. That's a very low Victor. Gonna get taken down by the Hemo play. Scout goes on a killing spree after a massive one-on-one outplay.
That's filthy. Scout, you're filthy. There's nothing Punish can do. Yeah, he had flash up, but where was he gonna flash? He was dead. There is actually no respite for a Victor I feel so dirty watching that happen.
Well, it did.
And this is what happens when you give teams Vladimir. Ultimately could be the undoing of LGD and their strategy right now through one champion choice. Scout playing out of his mind.
And it's strange, LGD were one of the first teams that show they can defuse a Vladimir in the mid lane. That was with Punish picking up Karma in one of their games, and they ended up with a victory over that. And an MVP performance for Punish too.
Still no Karma to be seen.
Seems like they can't do it here in game number 3 with a Victor.
It was neither picked nor banned. So this time around, EDG, they get the Karma unimpeded. Sorry, the Vladimir unimpeded. Punished. Victor is known as an option as well. It's defusal because you've got the wave clear. It shares traits that Karma has.
Yep.
It's more about the team fight that I think Karma provided defusal for. But even now in laning phase, Victor is being walked over by Scout. It actually just feels like Punished is being walked over by Scout.
Smara and Amy still trying to take away this blue buff. Gets smited away by the Gragas. True shot barrage whiffs through. Steph was looking. Doesn't find.
It's a hard thing to do, to be fair.
Punish has got his components of a Spirit Visage. That's where Vladimir really starts to become a huge problem. He's about 500 gold ahead of Punished at the moment. Top lane fairly even. Amy's falling slightly behind. Clear Love Def does have a little bit of a gold advantage over Imp as well.
Slightly confused as to how it's 800. He must have taken part in the towers actually falling down as Marin. He's giving this a look.
He wants this one. He's going in deep. There goes the Hyper. Going to get the slow and the return of the Boomerang. Mouse already used that Protobell to try and run. Does have Flash available. Marin almost goes Mega, but does force the Flash out of the Rumble. A very gutsy play from the Korean top laner.
Cancelled one auto attack, unfortunately, Marin, and also used his hop early to get the Hyper proc. Doesn't get what he was looking for as these two.
I've seen that story before. It doesn't end out too well for the Victor. Already half itself just from one spell rotation coming out. Mako was looking for a hook on towards Amy, who gets slowed down by Mystic shots coming out from Deft. As Punished, fine Scout again. The Ghost is just going to make him run over the gravity field. There goes the Hemo play. There's the ultimate coming out. Mara's going to try and jump in to defend him. Punished lives with a sliver of health. LG now looking for a fight as Mako gets caught out by PYL's ultimate. Marin is in the midst of this fight too. They have no mid laner to rely on. PYL going to get collapsed. Equalize in a good position to get lots of damage down, but LG's still alive. Amy jumps in. Mouse jump back in towards the rest of the team. Imp has joined the fray as well, but they're fighting a losing battle, it seems, at the moment.
Yeah, LGD, they do still hold the fort in that respect. They don't lose out too poorly. EDG have not slowed down, though, with their aggression. They go from objective to objective. In fact, threatening two at once. Imp is here. Marin's also here.
And they're looking for this one. There's a rock being thrown in by Marin. Good damage on towards Mako. Goes back into mini form. Trying to zone people out. A Scout now has to run away. So good job from LGD to remove them from the objective. Def takes a very long dark passage to get to the other side of the map and back to safety. LGD now, they're looking to try and take down the Mountain Dragon for themselves. Clearlove goes over the wall. A smite battle is going to take place. Amy picks up the win in that one as Punish is now joining the fray. There's the Kog'Maw who's slowing them down. Deft out of mana, has to shift away to get to safety. Overall, damage control really good from LGD.
Yeah, they prevent two Mountain Drakes from being taken in a row and they pick it up for themselves. Imp should be able to defend this. And after that, LGD is showing that they're definitely still a part of this third game. They are not out of it by any means.
Certainly are not. Imp actually moving up towards the top side of the map to pick up some of the farm that is crashing on towards his top lane in a turret as well. He's already got that Rage Blade looking towards a Hurricane as his next item probably.
Yeah, or the Wit's End, depending on what Imp feels like. But you know what? I'm not against on Kog'Maw. I know Spawn's a big fan of it.
Okay.
And so we won't touch on it till it's there. But there are reasons, Fish, there are reasons for a Wit's End.
Okay, hopefully we'll be able to hear them later.
It's not just insanity. I like to think of it as a 50-50.
A coin flip, essentially.
Oh, it's like the Joker, you know? But you know he's insane. And he's basically insane on purpose. That's a Wit's End. Apparently it's the Joker. I have no idea.
I don't know where you're taking this analogy, Rusty. But we'll have to wait and see if it is going to be the Joker item being picked up by Def.
I can tell you how I got there, but not where I was going.
Well, he's got a Zeal now, so that's not a Wit's End. That's going to be the Hurricane.
You don't know that.
He's Batman, apparently.
What?
It's the item they deserve, not the one they need.
I'm just saying, he's got a Null Magic Mantle. Like, it could still be another Wit's End with it.
Possibility.
It may be Merc Treads.
Myron, in the meantime, was able to take down the bottom lane outer turret that was left open after the lane
It's a bit
swap.
deep, though.
Yep, here comes Mako. A teleport's going to come out. Myron actually has to cancel that for the second time in this game up against Mako. And now goes into a 2-on-1. Protobell takes Rumble the wrong way, but Myron, he's got a long way to run against these two AP carries. Gets slowed down by the Harpoons as well. Going to get chunked out. Mouse picks up the kill with the Flame Spitter too. He's being caught out again here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, but Myron was there for a cause, and he did at least get it. So the turret goes down. That was something that should have fallen during the lane swap, though. So actually cleaning up the scraps of LGD's early game is going to be what happened just there by Myron.
Also gives Def the opportunity to take blue buff away from LGD's side of the jungle. So Punish not going to be able to wave clear as efficiently anymore.
Yeah, and gives a big opportunity for movement around the map here. EDG is starting to look to maybe choke LGD out. That gold lead is stretching in their favor.
It's now 3,500 gold in LG's favor. A lot slower game from game number 2, but still a very convincing game from EDG. LGD this time around do have a fighting chance. They do scale up quite nicely. Myron is not done and dusted like he was in game number 2. Has a couple of items to his name.
Yeah, Myron's well and truly in this one. I cannot tell you what that one is either, Fish. I just looked. It's a black item with a cooldown.
Okay. Is it a Yeoman's Ghostblade?
I feel like we should know what it is.
He had the makings of a Black Cleaver early. I'm just going to wait for it to come back off cooldown. If it's the Yeoman's Ghostblade, no, it's Hex Drinker.
Hex Drinker, thank God. Isn't that weird that we couldn't see it till it was still almost off cooldown? And then it's like, hey.
Hello.
I'm a Hex Drinker.
Remember me?
So it is, yeah, no, this makes sense. It's meant to be a Hex Drinker. Can't believe I forgot that. He's being poked now. They're prodding him constantly.
Well, they find him again. Clearlove not going to be able to get the knock up as he jumps over the wall. The hook from Mako not going to connect, but Flash burnt by LGD's top laner.
At least he lives this time around. Of course, Myron is not the feeding game 2-1, so he's not as fragile. He's resilient enough to walk it out. LG, they've got a wave clear mid laner, and this is great for them in diffusing any pushes that EDG make, but Imp is not receiving a whole host of farm anymore. And that Kog'Maw needs farm to continue scaling. So they need to start actually doing proper lane assignments.
The flip side, EDG, Mousie's picked up his Landry's Torment, so a very big item pickup for the Rumble. He'll be burning through people left, right, and center. Vladimir looking for a Void Staff as his next item. PYL almost gets caught out by the hook being thrown down by Mako.
Yeah, once again, active movements now from EDG, playing around their vision control, baiting the Baron area. Myron does have teleport, and he is on the opposite side of the map. He was even Mega Gnar at that point, so playing around numbers advantages is what EDG are trying to do. Burst somebody out before a teleport can be completed, and that's successful.
Myron actually moving towards the mid lane now that his bottom lane is pushing for himself. Staying out of vision. Waiting for the opportunity if he needs to teleport into a fight. CDG going back in towards the Baron pit.
No, they have to check.
Rudy Gekos hits it. Mako going to take a bit of damage from that.
Whoa.
PYL.
Whoa. They have no vision.
Are you okay?
No, that indicates a lot of things. EDG should actually be even threatening the Baron to be started now. PYL has no wards, which is why he used his ultimate.
And that's going to be a Baron started here by EDG. Clearlove tunnels in towards it. Amy actually heading back to base. So is Punish. Myron's going too. They're probably just going to concede this Baron.
Yeah, unless Imp can find it right now. They know it's being done. Teleports might not be enough.
It's not going to be as PYL runs back in. Desperately puts a ward down just to spot the Baron running away beneath his face. EDG picked that one up, and now they're looking for a push.
Yeah, we spoke to suffocation. That's exactly what EDG just put into effect. It felt all too easy for them, taking away that Baron. But with 3 pink wards set up around the area, 4 almost if we want to include deeper into the river, they go from objective to objective, and they ensure that LGD have no chance before they started.
And they get an Ocean Dragon for their troubles as well, tying up the 2 dragons taken down by LGD earlier too. Cloud Dragon will be the final elemental dragon to spawn in this game before Elder Dragon starts rocking around the rift. Slowly, this game is just looking like it's getting further and further away from LGD's reach.
You're starting to see the problems with LGD's team as a whole. Fundamentally, it feels like these guys, we already spoke to them being 5 good players, but lacking as a team. And PYL not even being there at the start of the split meant their direction was even more lost. Now that he's back, you're expecting that shot calling to be there. Just doesn't feel right.
EDG, though, they had a off game in game 1. They're fighting back really strong game 2 and 3.
Yeah, this is the EDG that we expected, working around those barons with ferocity.
They take down the mid lane inner turret as well. LGD not able to defend up against the Baron up creeps as well as Baron up EDG members. Maro doing what he can to try and find scraps. Throws a rock out, not going to get it. He's turning into Mega at very awkward times in this game.
Yeah, once again, it's in tatters in comparison to games 1 from LGD. They are actually struggling. This Cogmore hasn't actually seen light of day.
He's trying to do what he can. Deft is 0-1-0 at the moment, participating in none of the kills that come out from LGD, which is only 2 to start this game off.
But the presence that the Thresh even has on the side of EDG is overwhelming. Like, these turrets are just going to drop. If LGD want to defend them, they have to 5v5. And you're against a 3-0 Vladimir and a 2-0 Rumble. Their team fighting is incredible around objectives. Imp's a champion that stands still. Once again, there's a fundamental flaw with the drafting.
They're slowly losing advantages all across the map. Double lockets coming out from LGD this game to try and protect Imp from some of the magic damage that will come out from the Rumble and Vladimir. As Imp actually heads back to base, picks up a... That name is escaping me now. Hex Drinker for himself.
Unusual name for a sword.
I was about to say Hextech Gunblade. Immediately knew that was the wrong item.
It definitely would have been. EDG, they can actually threaten situations like this with just the Rumble ultimate.
Big damage coming out from Death as well, throwing out the True Shot Barrage. The bottom lane inner turret's going to fall surely. Amy doesn't get the knockback on towards Mako, now being separated like the Equalizer. Mouse gets the first kill. Scout's already into the back lines. Marin is trying to do what he can, but he just can't as Imp gets taken down as well. EDG are just walking through LGD. Marin finally gets a return kill, but at what cost? As Scout, he's trying to stay alive, but it's a triple kill that will come out for Death. And this is going to be able to get the ace on towards LGD.
And on the back of a quadra kill from Deft, EDG get themselves a Game 3 ace. They should actually have enough time to work this map with a minion wave crashing, perhaps to end the game. But the Baron buff has ended. Their control over the minions is not as powerful. And we'll see how they play this one out. It looks like the 3 inhibitor approach instead.
Yep, 8 seconds on punish, so it's going to be difficult for Deft and Clear to try and end the game with Scout down. But they will still be able to get some good damage on towards this mid lane inhibitor. Amy should be able to defend this one nicely. Still an inhibitor and an ace coming out from EDG. Turning on the switch there, 10,000 gold up. Amy tried to go for the initiation, which was really poor against Mako.
He tried. He absolutely did try to get the initiation off. And yeah, if that worked out a little bit better, perhaps if the skill shots had aligned themselves more succinctly for LGD, then the cask would have knocked them back. But by flash body slam engaging, they're actually opening themselves to the one weakness we already mentioned. There's a Rumble Equalizer. He's now 16. That's going to go down. He's going to lay down a red carpet. People are just going to die everywhere.
He's got some big items as well. Gone back to base, picked up the Ryless Crystal Scepter to go with the Lounger's Torment he previously had. You'd have to think the next blasting one's either going to be a Rabadon's Death Cap or a Void Staff, depending on what he fancies in this game. You can already see Void Staff has been picked up by Scout as well. Lots of magic penetration, going for a Death Cap next on the Vladimir. Even Deft looking really scary. 4 major items being picked up on this Ezreal.
I mean, he just got a quadra kill, so that guy's made of money at the moment.
Certainly is. Mako finds a hook on towards Amy, decides not to go for the second charge and go into the team fight. Deft throwing out a True Shot Barrage. The general direction of LGD, looking for the red steel.
Deft actually very good at doing this one particular strategy with his ultimate. I think it's quite unique to mostly Deft, but the LPL in general. Contest everything with your ultimate. Use it for vision, use it for red buff, for blue buff. Constantly throw it out, because when it steals it, you benefit from it. It does mean you lose that utility, especially in 2v2 laning of the ultimate for trading. But it can be so crucial for giving vision as mid and late game progresses. There's no point saving the ultimate when you can reduce its cooldown with your Q1 waves anyway.
Deft actually looking to complete his final item of Summoner Switch, which is going to be a Blade of the Ruin King for the Ezreal. So it's a very strong Ezreal at the moment, 5-0-3. Imp is still struggling to find his third item, still sitting on that Hex Drinker. Hasn't been having a great game so far. Started off pretty strong on the Kog'Maw, but it just fell to shreds once the bottom lane turret didn't fall for them during the lane swap.
Yeah, they hit a couple of strategies, I guess. Like Imp being their major win condition, he was hiding. He was freezing waves. He was getting his money, getting his gold. But it just felt like Scout actually winning this mid lane, putting Punish behind, caused a lot of issues. It put Clearlove ahead, and then they started diving Imp and PYL, who are overextending and overstaying their welcome in certain aspects of the map. Just gives EDGs a way in. And if you give EDG a way into anything, that's usually the start of your demise.
Well, Cloud Dragon's been taken in by EDG as well, so 3 Elemental Dragons. And the Elder Dragon will be spawning in 6 minutes' time if they even get to that late in the game. Baron's back up in 5 seconds. EDG already have some good vision control over the area as well as a 10,000 gold lead ahead of LGD, looking very strong coming into this next big objective. Mako has even been looking to try and get some deep vision wards down inside the red buff area of LGD's jungle. The Baron has been started. Barrel coming out from Gragas is not going to be able to spot this one out. Teleports are coming in though, looking for a fight. Amy's already been jumped on. The body slam forward gets interrupted by Maker. It's Deft now looking to try and take him down. Marin dealing some good damage in the backlines. Amy's still able to live and escape, as EDG actually have pretty low health bars, looking for the Baron. PYL goes in, gonna have to flash back out as the Baron does fall. Smite comes up a Clearlove Deft. The Arcade shifts cheekily forward, finds the first kill. Imp's gonna get locked down very low. Clearlove's on top of him, trying to take him down and successfully able to do so. It's a 2-for-1 trade meanwhile, but Deft is still looking for more as Punish gonna get tagged up by the Mystic shots. Deft is still looking to see if he can get the snipe off.
Yeah, Deft had flash, so he's looking towards it. There's a teleport coming in for a big flank onto these two remaining members.
Mouse has home guards as well, finds both of them in the brush. A double kill will come out from the flame spitters of Mouse. Only Marin left standing, and maybe not even for long as Mouse flashes forward, forces the flash out of the Nah. EDG are looking towards the Nexus.
Yeah, once again, the Baron buff secured by Clearlove throughout that. He does die for it, but that is a worthy cause because EDG with this buff should be able to end the game.
Well, they're pushing for it. The first Nexus turret has fallen. EDG going to work on the second as well. Only Nama and Gragas are there. They're not going to be enough to save the day as EDG close out the series 2-1.
3 very one-sided games, it feels like, is the end result. But only game 1 was one-sided towards LGD. It's 2 and 3. EDG bounced back with a vengeance. And they actually just put LGD in the bin.
They certainly did in that game. EDG games 2 and 3 look so strong against LGD. And some old habits are dying hard for LGD as well in those 2 games.
It feels like they understand how they want to win League of Legends. But they can just never do it. Because those tendencies, those habits, the lack of direction that the team seems to experience individually and as a team, it starts to become too obvious.
But then you look at LGD game number 1. That's the team we expect in the LPL to show up, and they did. But everything just fell to pieces. EDG though, even game number 1 with a lackluster performance, still look like EDG. They still know how to play this game. They still know exactly what they need to do to win their matches as well.
Yeah, no, EDG at the end of this series still look like they're the number 1 team in the LPL by a fair bit. It was a shaky game 1, but they have shown that they have weaknesses that can be exposed, and that is a thing that the rest of the teams in the LPL should 100% be looking towards. And that was actually that Pawn came back in and changed the style, it felt like, of EDG.
And it didn't even look necessary to be Pawn himself, because he had a good performance in the mid lane on the Echo, got a solo kill against Punish to start things off too. Even getting some good teleport plays off, but just looked different when they had Scout in
Yeah,
the
so
lineup.
it wasn't him individually, right? Pawn still did his part, but he was an assassin to the control mage. They missed a bit of their late game scaling, and LGD were only 2,000 gold ahead for a fair bit of that first game. But the end result of that is actually that they're just missing the control mage to shore up their weaknesses, get them to the late game. Clearlove actually played differently as well. He was a lot more sluggish. He was slower around the rift. It could have been Amy, but it felt like it was just Clearlove lacking in one game.
Certainly was, and EDG still able to take the series 2-1. A fantastic day coming from there as we take a look at today's results. First up, it was Vici up against Invictus Gaming. A very clinical performance from Vici.
Very impressive wins from Vici. Games 1 and 2, they just stamped the foot down and shut the door on IG.
And it was followed by a 3-game series that went to EDG 2-1 against LGD. A fantastic match from them.
Yeah, strong performance from EDG, again securing their place in that first spot in the LPL, yet to lose a game.
Then we take a look at the current standings. Group A, EDG advanced 10-0 in that group. As Snake are way behind them right now. 5-4, GT 5-5, Newbie 4-6, IG 2-8 at the moment, with Saints picking up their recent only win 1-9. As for Group B, RNG is still at the top with 9-1, only losing that single game to EDG, who are still undefeated. IMA 6-3, TWE and Vici now 6-4, as LGD are falling further behind 3-7, with OMG just behind them 2-8.
Yeah, we're starting to see 4 strong members in Group B really creep their way up. OMG are finding strategies, and LGD are still discovering them, but lots of positives.
Well, let's take a look at tomorrow's matches. First up, it's going to be Snake taking on IMA, followed by Newbie taking on Team WE.
Snake vs IMA looks to be quite a good series, honestly, between both of those teams, and it's an exciting one that we should be looking towards. Newbie against WE. Could go either way. Could be great. Could be a whitewash. Definitely going to go to late game.
Yep, definitely going to be a good 60 minutes per game at least, I think, between Newbie and Team WE. They both are very late game teams. They get there very differently, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So it depends how they get to those stages of the game, whether it's team fights or whether it's much more clinical standard turret taking.
We'll have to see how that one pans out. And, you know, Snake versus IMA, he touched on that very briefly. It's a very interesting game to watch because these are two very heavily middle-of-the-pack teams that are in the LPL right now.
Yeah, I mean, both teams fighting towards that top spot in their groups. Of course, more so second than I would say first. RNG and EDG have secured that aspect, but definitely a heavy-hitting game. Early game teams will be going against each other.
And these are two very big matches as well. First up, the Snake IMA match, you know, very early game, very heavy-hitting teams looking for the 3 points, so to speak. And we have to see if they can pick that one up. But, you know, for now, let's take a look at today's MVP for the third and final game. It is going to go over towards Deft on his Ezreal, played in that game. 42.8% of his team's damage share. How does he do it, Rusty?
It's just no longer surprising, and that is an unreasonably large number, but it's just Deft things at this point. 42.8%. It's no longer a 50, but it does a fair bit of damage. This is his quadra-kill team fight.
He makes it look normal.
And he's got a team with a Rumble in it. And a
Vladimir.
Vladimir in it. And they were winning their lanes respectively. They're doing a lot of damage in these team fights, but Def just carries it through so strong. He does the deeps, but he makes sure that the whole team's succeeding with it.
Well, he breaks the trend of junglers picking up MVP for today with that final MVP performance from the AD carry. And once again, goes back to how so many AD carries in the LPL are picking up MVP performances because so much emphasis is in towards lots of bottom lanes to carry the game.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, this time around, this particular game, I will say I'm surprised that Def did 42%. It crept up on us. EDG, it felt like won as a team this game, but as far as AD carries are concerned, definitely taking up the MVP rankings and showing that AD carries, at least in our meta in the LPL, have what it takes to hard carry. Of course, internationally, maybe not so much, but we have it locally.
And we look at his opponent here today. It was against Imp, a person that you can expect to hard carry for LG sometimes, was on Cogmore, didn't show up today.
So here's the thing, right? And yes, Imp's designed to hard carry as a player, and he doesn't pick the champions to do it. He picks champions that can hard carry, but don't fit the meta, right? We've seen Deft on Ashe do a lot of work. He plays Ezreal, does the same thing, but they have a facilitative role whilst doing damage. Imp plays Cogmore, he plays Vayne, he plays a lot of weird champions, and the best one he has is Sivir, but it's always banned away from him.
And he's played it 8 times in the split, so it seems like his utility AD carry of choice to go to, picking up a few unorthodox picks. And we saw him play Twitch 2 times in this series, and he looked great on Twitch, especially game number 1. Game number 2 was just trying to fight a losing battle that was never going in his favor. So he can still play those hyper carries to good success.
He can, but what gets me is like game number 1 was still Marin. He was still getting big nars. He was a frontline member. He felt like he had all of the momentum in the world. Amy was doing the exact same thing. When Imp has all of these tools, then he looks better. Well,
unfortunately, LGD were not able to use that to pick up a victory here over EDG as they take that series 2-1. And that's the third and final game that we have for you guys here tonight. So on behalf of myself, Rusty, the entire production crew, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more LPL action.